We'll call the meeting to order at 7:31 p.m. It is Tuesday, November 15th of 2022. Welcome, everybody. And thanks for responding. It's good to see everybody here again tonight. We have with us Councilmember and Mayor Pro Tem Cara McFerren, and we have Councilmember Ashley Smith. We have Councilmember Josh Schiltz. We have Councilmember Dana Dominguez. Thank you. I'm trying to do this from memory, and I'm not very good at it yet. And we have Councilmember Omar Martinez. We also have with the City Manager David Haugland and the Deputy City Clerk Shari, Hoffert, as well as the Chief of Police Werling. The item number 2 on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve agenda.
Second.
Motion and moved and seconded to approve the agenda. This is a consent vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 3 is the approval of the consent agenda, which includes the special city council meeting minutes, the mayoral appointment, the city council meeting minutes from our last meeting, November 1st, a beer and liquor license request for renewal, the November 2022 sewer report, a Class E liquor license with Sunday sales for Toma Market, doing business as Jeff's Market, a Class C liquor license with Sunday sales for El Patio. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda, but I would also like to entertain a amendment.
Yep.
Thank you for the city council meeting minutes for 11/1/22 under the city council approved vendor voucher claims list number 2 in the amount of $240. I just want that reflected that that Councilmember McFerren abstained from that vote. I just want it documented that way.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep, I have it noted.
Okay.
I'll second the approval of the amended agenda.
Right.
Consent.
It's moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any council discussion of any of these items? Police Chief Werling, is there anything you'd like to say about these liquor licenses at all?
Nothing to add. No issues.
No concerns?
Nope.
Okay.
No, none.
City Manager Werling, is there anything you want to add on that?
Carol, do you have any questions for me?
If none, then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The consent agenda is approved 5-0. We'll move on to item number 4, vendor voucher claims. There is one edit to this on line 73 on the prepaid claims list. So this is something from the last meeting that was already approved, but it shows up here as a prepaid claim. Item number 73 is actually incorrect. That needs to be removed, $31,300. And so the new total on the vendor voucher claims list is $231,923.91. Is there a motion to approve the vendor voucher claims?
Motion to approve vendor vouchers claims with amendment or change.
With the amendment.
With,
I couldn't resist. That sounds like something I would say. There's a movement,
I'll second.
a motion.
I would just note for you all, last meeting, you approved this, the 31,300 was approved, and that was for the installation that was done by Weather Technologies Inc., which they were paying. I believe what this claim should have been was Weather Tech for some floor liners, which are not 31,000. I cut that out, so that's why we're going to remove it, and it'll just show up on the prepaid next time. So we just want to make sure we have that correction.
Thank you. Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve the vendor voucher claims list in the amended amount. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Vendor voucher claim is approved. 5-0. We'll move on to number 5, public comments and correspondence. If you are here to speak about the ARPA funding, there's been a request that those comments take place at the time of the item that's on the agenda, so we'll allow for that. We'll allow some public comments about that specific agenda item after that has been voted on. Is there anyone here who wants to share something other than that in the public comments section? Okay. We'll move on to city council public comments. Josh, have you public comments to share?
I have one. It's from a resident in Sunny Manor Apartments on Walnut Street, and it's regarding the concern with traffic flow on the dead end Walnut Short Street, with the potential of more development or more buildings going up in those apartments on Short Street, and the fact that there isn't any very well-defined appropriate access for emergency vehicles to go in and around the complex. So they are concerned about that. Which, yeah, I see this point.
I had received that, probably the same individual had spoke to me. I told him, we had reached out to the developer in hopes that they would have extended that street and have a second access in and out. That has not been done at this point. Problem was when the original developer platted that, they approved all of the plats, all 4 plats, for the additional units. When the new owner took over, there was just minor changes to the name. There really wasn't any change to any of the work that had already been approved. I checked with Leo. So that's the reason why it did not come back to council. It's previously been approved. But Ken Brooks and I both have met with this individual. I think we still are in hopes that maybe he will consider that. That's yet to be seen.
Is there any way that when, I know he's subject to put up 2 more units, is that correct?
Actually, he's got, he can put up 6 more units that were already approved in the initial phases.
6? I thought it was just 2 more.
No, he's actually got a building permit for 1, to remove 6 more.
Jeez. Because at this point, I don't know what we can do. I mean, I'm totally on board with, I know we need more housing, but we also need it to where we can get in the event of a fire truck in there. And that is very tight. If there's an anticipated 6 more units going in, as well as traffic flow. And, I think my concern is whether or not they are pushing just to get more people in there for more revenue and not considering the quality of life in that space, the appropriateness of traffic and parking, as well as, the families that live there. So,
Is that something we need to follow up more on to see?
I mean, we could, certainly ask if he's interested in doing that. He was looking for some additional help with TIF funding, and I said I would be happy to help with TIF funding if we wanted to extend on the road for a second access. Loop his water and sanitary sewer back out.
So it's an ongoing conversation that you're having.
Yeah, we had that conversation. I know he's only been approved for 1 of the units, is all he's putting up this fall. We'll continue to have that conversation with them going forward. If you're sure of that, the other option. City to put it already.
who's the developer?
Uh,
Oh, I thought that's who was. I'm sorry. It's the owner. Who's the owner?
Deepak Gary.
Oh,
is doing that development.
okay.
I don't remember who the original developer.
Changed names 2 or 3 different times.
It originally was the Alta.
Sorry,
Yep.
Alta
I said
Vista.
Alta Ventures.
Alta
Alta
Ventures.
Ventures,
Yep.
that's right, Alta Ventures. Trying to change the city of California. Yeah, and they were I think they were individuals that lived outside the community
Correct.
that built, and now it's a resident of the community that owns. Right, can I go now?
Yes.
Yep. Oh, did you have anything else?
No,
that's
sorry. Okay, so I received, an email about a concern for water drainage on 8th Street in Windus area, and, also that the traffic is horrendous during drop off and pickup times. And I passed it on to the mayor and city manager passed it on as well to Adam
That's Leo.
and to Leo, yep. Adam confirmed that yes, it does. He grew up in that area. Yes, it does get very wet and flood. And that they thought there was a realignment for the sewer done about 10 years ago.
Yeah, he thought they had realigned that source for about 10 years.
Right, but it improved, but it didn't take away the problem. So that, these properties are flooding so much that smaller cars can't even get through the street. So that's a problem, and also anticipating that the traffic will get even worse with the addition of the elementary school, being everybody else who usually would be at the ELC dropping their kids off are now gonna be in that area as well.
And I know Leo had responded back, he's gonna put together a proposal for a drainage study to see if we can upsize the storm sewer.
And, as someone who had to deal with the traffic as well, with the drop off, and I know that's been a long time problem, and it's a separate issue, obviously, but I'm wondering with the new school, if that's something that the city has to, we should, because you can't even pick up or drop off your kid without waiting there for half an hour. Yeah,
I know, I just want to add to this because it's the exact same thing you're talking about. The elementary is doing a different procedure this year where they're not letting people park in front of the school.
Mhm.
So that has adjusted, I'm sure, what last year looked like before I was paying attention to it. The principal at the elementary has also gotten some complaints, which he also forwarded to me. So we're trying to see if there's anything we can do. So I don't know if this is the same person, but they have
Well,
reached
I
out to the
wonder,
principal as well.
I don't even know if it would work, but like a roundabout where cars can kind of circulate and be out of the main streets, you know what I mean? While their children are coming out and getting in. I don't know, like on the school. Yeah, I don't know how other schools have been, because it's not just West Liberty, it's
Right.
everywhere.
The backup that I see is that even on streets where we have parking on one side, when people are parking and then also in the travel portion, but waiting to go into the school, then that's causing backups and it's causing people to run stop signs because they're trying to get around and get through. Because they stopped the parking right in front of the elementary. So then you have to use the drive to pick up and then you get out and then you can't come back through. So it flows fairly well once it starts, but that pre-dismissal time when everybody's lining up, it's very congested back there. It is.
Yep.
Anything else? Councilmember Martinez.
I have nothing on major, the two that we spoke about already.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Clerk Hoffert.
I do not have any communication.
We'll move on to item 6, old business. This is resolution 11152022-30, a resolution to consider approval of the ARPA subrecipient grant agreement between the City of West Liberty and Ministerial Association, a nonprofit organization, in the amount of $120,000 for utility billing assistance for West Liberty community members. We've talked a lot about this. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution. Any discussion?
Do we need to make mention of some There were some typos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you address that?
Yes, so the upcoming resolutions, so 30 to 33, there were a couple typos, and I did lay the new ones on your desk. Nothing changed other than the fixing of the few typo errors there were on there. Resolution numbers are still the exact same. Everything, all the information and everything is still in it the same. There were just a couple words that were spelled incorrectly that I
In
fixed.
the resolution.
Yep, and you, in your books, you still have the old ones, so you'll be able to note those changes in there.
Yeah, and at the back, for some reason, it labels you as interim mayor, and I just thought it would be mayor,
Yep.
not interim mayor.
Yep.
Trying to come up with some ideas here.
Wasn't me either.
And I'm assuming that, the association has seen this and agreed to it.
Yep, all three of the agreements were presented to the three entities. Had an opportunity to look at them, sign them, and we just asked that we got them returned, so we had the time for the
Oh,
meeting. And
there we go.
they all have been signed by the three different subdivisions.
And in those contracts, there are also a couple of typo errors that have been addressed with the attorney, and he said we just have to let you guys know that he is aware of those. He is aware that they are signed as well now.
And I'll take probably the blame for maybe a few years, because that was really pushing it hard to different agreements too, so we can get around to the sub-recipients and have time to look at it. But I do want to thank Nathan for, he got a lot of phone
Speeding
calls,
it up.
he got a lot of phone calls from me and sharing information and just try to, get that process completed. So
We do appreciate
I
it.
do want to thank him.
And then do we need to make mention of what you delivered to us in regards to the applicant?
That you may want to bring up under the amount that's going to the food pantry.
Oh, that's the food
Yeah,
Okay.
those letters.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I just,
So we'll do this in a few steps here. This is just the utility billing assistance. Is there any other discussion about that? And just to clarify for anybody who hasn't been following along, I guess this is these next three resolutions are what council committed to 2 weeks ago in the meeting, and these resolutions are the finalization of that, which includes the signature from the receiving nonprofit and city council making a final approval today. So this is when you really get to celebrate that it's happened today. Any further discussion? Okay, being none, this will be a roll call vote. Councilmember Martinez. Yes. Councilmember Dominguez.
Yes.
Councilmember McFerren.
yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Schiltz.
Yes.
The motion carries 5-0. At this time, the group that's here to give some public comments requested if they could speak right after the passing of this specific resolution, and I decided to grant that. So I do have certain individuals who you want to share, or
Entonces ya aprobaron, votaron todos, dice que van a dar $120,000, $400 a cada casa para ayuda de la luz. Entonces ese tiempo, si quieres hacer un comentario, hazlo.
if there are people who want to share, please do. We'd like to hear from you. We do ask that you state your name and your address for the record and keep your comments to minutes.
Por favor, dile tu nombre, tu dirección y 2 minutos.
Mi nombre es Edgar y vivo en la calle Tercera, 401
My name is Edgar and I live on 3rd Street.
por 14 años aquí.
I've been living here for 14 years in West Liberty.
Solamente quiero decirle que gracias por tomarnos en cuenta, por escucharnos, por
I want to tell you thank you for taking that into account and for listening to us.
es difícil. Solamente les quiero decir gracias. Muchas gracias por escucharnos, por tomarse ese tiempo de escucharnos y nuestros sentidos. Gracias.
This is hard, but thank you. Thank you for listening and taking into account us.
And thank you for coming and sharing your thoughts with council.
Gracias por venir y compartir con nosotros.
It's been a long time. I know, it's been a long time.
Yo sé que ha pasado mucho tiempo,
but it wasn't something we thought would happen, but it did.
pensamos que no era algo que iba a pasar, pero sí cumplimos. ¿Alguien más quiere decir algo?
Igual de uno, una esposa.
My name is Marina Diaz, this is my husband.
Sí, el agradecimiento por ponernos atención.
And thank you for putting attention to this.
Y es importante que ustedes miren las necesidades del pueblo también.
It's important that you guys see the needs of this town.
So, trabajamos con ustedes y ustedes con nosotros, se puede lograr mucho.
We work with you and you work with us and we're able to, we do a lot more.
Gracias, mis hijos están agradecidos. Ellos han hablado, han pedido, han hablado con toda esta gente y simplemente gracias. Que Dios me bendiga.
Thank you, my kids are very faithful and God bless you and thank you.
Thank you.
Mi nombre es María Díaz, vivo en la calle Columbus, 106 Columbus, es el zona de los de trailers.
Maria, Columbus Street in the trailers.
Igual que ellos, doy las gracias por habernos escuchado durante más de un año, por su atención.
Same with them, I'd like to give you thanks for this after a long fight of your.
Hubo momentos difíciles tanto como para ustedes como para nosotros también.
There was moments that were hard for both you and us.
Y pues nada más, gracias y estamos agradecidos por su ayuda. Seguimos aquí como quiera, somos comunidad.
And I just want to say thank you. We're thankful for the help and we continue here as your community.
Gracias.
Thank you.
¿Alguien más?
Gracias. I just want to recognize you all that you did the hard work. So you can give up.
Solo quiero decir que ustedes hizo el trabajo más duro. Nunca quedó la gloria, nunca, siempre regresaron.
And I know, I'm mixed, but I've grown up with my tias and my tios, and I've seen them work really hard and not ever ask for help and not ever complain. My parents, my dad as well, and it's really hard when you've been conditioned for that hard work to not seek support and not seek help. And it's really important that you all did step up and did do that, and you didn't take no for an answer.
Yo soy
because-
mixta.
Sorry, go ahead.
Como parte latina. Y yo crecí en una familia con tíos y tías que han trabajado duro toda su vida y nunca pidió ayuda, ¿verdad? Porque no, tal vez no es su manera, su costumbre, trabajaba duro toda su vida.
And it's helping so many more in our community than just those folks that did the hard work, that couldn't be here or didn't have the energy, or I mean, it's helping so much more folks. And I know it's not everything that you all needed, but it is something, and I believe that it's something because of the effort that you all put in.
Pero es importante hablar para la ayuda que necesita y no solo están ayudando los que están aquí, pero ustedes han ayudado mucha más gente que no están aquí hoy, que no podía venir o no quería venir, porque ellos también van a recibir esta ayuda.
So I just thank you all for what you've done for our community.
Gracias por lo que han hecho por nuestra comunidad.
Vamos a brindarle un aplauso a ellos.
Yeah.
We also need to recognize Councilmember Dominguez, Councilmember Smith, who put in a lot of work on these resolutions, as well as Ken Brooks and Father Guillermo Trevino, who did a lot of work. I'm missing others who were involved.
Cara's been involved.
Okay.
Queremos dar gracias a Domingo, Ashley, Cara, Padre Trevino, Kent, que también ha hecho mucho trabajo por eso.
And David Goodner for keeping me on my toes as well. And Emily for being here. So
Many people
yes.
involved.
Well, they're in Baltimore right now at the U.S. Catholic Bishop celebrating Father Trevino's award.
Excellent.
That's wonderful.
I hope this is something that we will continue to see.
Espero
more
que
people coming out.
sigamos mirando a ustedes aquí, llegando, hablando.
There's nothing more valuable than everybody's voice.
Todos tienen voz y es importante.
Yes, please continue to get involved.
I just wanted to say a couple of weeks ago, I watched the Univision documentary, Rising of Heartland. I recognize some of you, which was amazing, but it made me so angry how badly the Columbus Junction City Council treated the people that excluded workers that came to talk to them. And I was so upset watching it. And I just am really grateful that our city council and our community have respect for one another and heard each other and worked together. And I was just really committed to making sure that we didn't treat our community members the way that Columbus Junction did treat
Solo
theirs.
quería comentar que ella miró la película de ellos en Iowa y puso muy triste, ¿verdad? A ver cómo la ciudad de Columbus Junction trató a la gente y ella siente feliz que nosotros estamos ayudando a la gente y no estamos tratando a la gente que podría hacer una solución. Gracias.
There are three parts to this good news. So we've passed resolution 6A. You want to stay for the next two?
¿Quieren
Or
quedar para los otros dos o ya no estamos?
won't take long.
¿Cómo se?
We'll look at item 6B, resolution 11152022-31, which is designating $20,000 for food assistance to the West Liberty food pantry. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve resolution.
Do you want me to read the entire resolution title, or is it okay if I just read the number?
You're okay if you read the number. You can read that very first part of the number and then just for the ARPA portion, and then you're good to go.
Yep, great. It has been moved and seconded to approve this resolution. Is there any discussion?
Only that there, again, we had some changes with some errors in spelling. or-
Correct.
Yeah, spelling errors. And then the application.
Right, yeah, please do talk about that. Oh, yeah, this is important actually to translate as well, if you can.
And I don't know if you want the Spanish, you can have the Spanish.
We, the food pantry wanted us to make sure that the folks here were aware that they were getting funds.
Okay.
And they have provided a letter and an application for the Christmas box,
Awesome.
which can be picked up at the church, or we'll have copies of those at City Hall as well, that folks can come in and grab them. They just need to be turned in
Okay.
by November 30th in order to qualify for the Christmas box. from the community.
Omar also said he could talk about it in Spanish.
Oh,
Okay.
perfect. That's
Yeah.
great.
Lo que pasa es que hay una aplicación para familias, porque les voy a regalar comida. La iglesia nos dio aplicaciones para que llenara. Cada quien que aplica está elegible para recibir una carta. Si quieren tomar un vino o pueden dejar copias cuando quieran, como recojan. Pero como supieron que les iban a dar dinero, nosotros vamos a dar dinero como mismo. Quieran saber que todos tenemos que pueden recibir la
But they need you to invite.
tienen que estar entregados antes del día
November 30th.
November 30 de noviembre.
And everyone that applies gets approved, they just need the application.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
That's
I'll
the
make
process.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, is there any further discussion on this resolution? Sorry, we're gonna say something. No.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, again, Pam Food Pantry was very adamant that the
Let's
folks
keep the
here,
talking down in the room if we can, please.
the folks that are here representing speech and mo's were aware of this because they really would like them to participate in this program. if possible.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
I don't know what the food boxes haven't done, and we're grateful, but may think about having.
Yeah, I think we help deliver some of the, I think it comes with like milk and come with like turkey or ham and a lot of, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that comes with it. You could certainly reach out to Pam there at the
I
church
think
and she can tell you what's in there. but
Boxed goods, canned goods,
It's
meat.
everything for like a traditional,
And coats and Christmas presents.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Esa también regala
And
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, if we're done with our discussion, then this will also be a roll call vote. I'll start on this side. Councilmember Schiltz.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember McFerren.
Yes.
Councilmember Dominguez.
yes.
Councilmember Martinez. The motion carries 5-0, and we'll move on to 6C, Resolution 11152022-32. This is giving $10,000 of the ARPA funding to the West Liberty Community School Foundation. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded to approve this resolution. Is there any discussion?
I have one item for discussion. I just wanted to mention that the West Liberty chapter of the 100 Women Care voted on November 7th to make a quarterly donation to the West Liberty Community, or the West Liberty Community School Foundation for the purpose of kids like coats and gloves and stuff. So I wanted to make sure that our $10,000 wasn't necessarily only also for coats and gloves and stuff, because also kids need to wear like I just wanted to make sure that they could like use it for food or whatever. Like, for example, as someone who works at the high school, for the last 2 years, school lunches have been free for kids because of the COVID, but this year they're not free anymore. And we see students' lunch debt accruing. And so I just wanted to suggest that maybe if there wasn't a need for coats and hats anymore, maybe some of the funding could be used for that. But then I was reading the agreement earlier today and it said like school fees and stuff like that. So
It's pretty flexible.
right. So that was my only concern, was like, oh my God, I don't know if we need $20,000 of dollars, but it sounds like it's flexible enough that they can use it for other things.
Yeah, and talking with the superintendent, they wanted to be able to use it for activity fees if the student needed to get a physical or a pair of shoes
Sure,
to
yeah.
participate in a sport, or just anything,
That's
you know,
awesome.
that kids need. It's very wide open for the counselors and those that are making that determination to
Awesome.
use that money. Okay, excellent.
I think that's a great idea, especially with Maria Galvin and her position at the school. She knows exactly what's needed, and there's a lot of new immigrants from Venezuela coming to West Liberty, so thank you.
This will also be a roll call vote, unless there's any further discussion from council. Councilmember Martinez.
Yes.
Councilmember Dominguez.
yes.
Councilmember McFerrin.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Schiltz.
Yes.
The motion carries 5-0. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Moving into the house.
Good to see you in person.
2 meetings in a row.
3, it's in a 3.
How bad that stream was. That stream was-
High school's here.
I know a budget item we need to add.
If you can advocate for my budget, that's great.
We will move on to item 7A, new business resolution 2022-1115-33, which is approving the improvement project plans for the Rainbow and Maxon Street project. I think we will definitely have some discussion on this. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve the resolution with a change in the second paragraph where approval of approvals repeated.
And that's removed on the updated one that you guys have. I took that out this morning when Cara brought it to me, so that's updated for you guys as well.
Duly noted the typo. Is there a second to the?
Second.
It's been moved.
Which one of you?
Omar.
Omar? Okay.
Motion by Councilmember McFerren and seconded by Councilmember Martinez to approve this resolution. What discussion do we have? Did everybody get a chance to look at those plans?
Yeah, I was wondering if we were gonna get another view of that. Another viewing, to just look at it one more time. There was a interesting question that the mayor brought up earlier, I thought.
Well, I'd like to hear from council before I go into my thoughts, but are there other comments from council or questions? My question was about sidewalks. I know there was some discussion about it before. It's quite a while ago, and this is new for me because I'm new, and I think actually almost the entirety of the council is in the same boat. So when I saw the map, I guess I was, if you could talk us through, I was surprised whether
we gave a number of
quite as much sidewalk connectivity.
We gave a number of different options. So on Rainbow, we gave an option of putting the 10-foot trail, which is a, combined use trail, multi-use trail.
10-foot wide, not long.
10-foot wide, right, the whole length, the whole length of the road.
Yeah.
With lighting, with benches. So then the thought was, do we need a 5-foot standard sidewalk on the other side of the street? So we started to put one in there, and we actually gave you some options for that. That's in the back of a lot of people's houses. Sidewalks in the back of people's houses, they typically don't like for a number of reasons. One, why you gotta shovel your backyard. So a lot of people will complain. The people that came to the meeting, our public meeting, complained, right? We knew them.
There were residents.
They were very much against. So that was kind of why it was taken out of that part. Then it was decided there is a sidewalk that needs to go down Maxon to connect to 8th Street. And we decided, let's take the money that we were gonna spend on Rainbow and put it on Maxon and connect to 8th Street, where again, this came from citizens in the area saying, hey, there's a lot of kids that would need to be on that sidewalk. So that's why we put the sidewalk along Maxim up to the one that's already coming down from 8th. So that's how we got there.
Right, so that sidewalk allows you to get to the skate park, all on the sidewalk.
School to the skate park on
Yes.
the sidewalk.
This has been something that's been a need for many years.
That is true. One other thing that we put in kind of into the end, we were gonna just extend the culverts. There's pretty big box culverts, and extend them. The one that's down at the end where Mr. Simon's business is a little bit smaller, well, it's quite a bit smaller than the other. The other one, the Coleman one was used for cattle crossing, that's why it was so big and old it is, but they were both in very good condition. We looked at the drainage in the area. Putting a bigger culvert in didn't help the drainage, only a very small amount. But one of our thoughts were, if we put the bigger culvert in, if they ever do make changes up on 8th Street area and in that other area, which needs to probably be done from a drainage perspective, all that water eventually gets down. So we did upsize it so it will contain that water. And that will be a big help for you in the future. It might not be a help right away now, but we did the first step of it. Because we decided, you know what, something will happen. It happens to us too often. They'll end up putting a bigger street out again, and we didn't want that to happen. So we decided that really not that much more expensive, just put a new culvert in. We went from a 3x4 to a 4x4, and we did all the hydraulics to make sure. That kind of fits into the sidewalk.
Yes, thanks for the background, that helps me understand. I think I was still a little bit concerned with the sidewalk connections. Especially, and I understand what you're talking about on Rainbow. I mean, I would love to see sidewalk on both sides personally, but I do understand that some of those houses are, it's the back of the house that faces the street there. Probably my biggest concern is the subway. I feel like, you know, if you're at a baseball tournament, you can see the subway, but you literally would not, the way that the plan is now, you would not be able to walk the subway without darting across the.
You could walk along the path,
Yeah,
and then we can have a crossing, which we will have up at the end, where subway is.
I think it would be ideal to have a crossing. My personal thought would be to have a crossing and maybe, you know, what are the chances that we could just go ahead and connect that then to the sidewalk along the highway? So then you've got a full loop.
That's probably not a bad idea.
I mean, it's not that far.
Because we thought we were gonna put.
So you're talking in front of the side, in front of the subway along the county road? Is that what you're talking about? Is that?
If you were walking from the baseball fields, you walked up the trail, make a crossing to get to Subway. Now I want to go to Geary BP. I'm going down along the highway on the sidewalk.
We got to look into that to see how it would work. That's not part of this project, but it would be something we would be more assuming we don't want to go around about it.
How to work with the sidewalk.
It's maybe related enough, I hope. With the car wash, yeah, I mean, then you've got, the car wash has a huge driveway, right? But you
We can
still
do a
have,
sketch for the next meeting and show you. Maybe I'll have a proposal for A Street, but I was thinking I could just do a sketch on how that sidewalk would connect. We might even have it from the past. We've done a lot of sidewalk things over the last 20 years for you guys. We've looked at things in the past. I think that an aerial that has a sidewalk with the right dimensions on it and all that would be something that would help.
We did talk crosswalks because we're gonna have futuristic new subdivisions.
Yeah,
Correct.
and they're gonna be walking along that way to go to Geary.
exactly, a lot of people are going to be going like that.
And then a lot of times when you do a crosswalk anymore, and this might not be in the plan, but we'll have to add it if it's not. If we do a crosswalk over to Subway, you typically have to have some kind of a square over there, almost like a lane. And it's all ADA related. If somebody's in a wheelchair and they start across that street, they have to have somewhere to land. They don't, the sidewalks kick in, but they have to land. And then okay, if I can't go anywhere, I'll turn around and come back, but safety wise, they have to do that. So that part would be in there. But going down to Gary's gas station, I think it's a great idea. I just haven't looked at it. You could throw that in.
So I think the sidewalk, it stops at that street, that side street, right? Before the car
I don't
wash.
see an actual map here.
Yeah, I think it stops in front of us. Oh, it's actually, it stops in front of
Before the
that
car
old
wash,
restaurant.
the JB,
Right before-
where Gabby's.
Yeah.
Where Gabby's was.
Right.
Oh, it doesn't continue?
No, those are parking lots.
There's, I think it runs in pieces.
Yeah.
Might have been at one
Okay,
point.
maybe at one point, okay.
What's that?
Mhm.
Okay, okay.
Or we can put something together that would show a connection.
If council agrees,
I would like to see it.
It
right?
makes
Yeah,
sense.
images. I can bring that to the next meeting.
Okay. Sorry.
Because you have where mode is the salon, and then you have JB's, and it's all gravel. There might be a sidewalk down there.
It might have been at one point.
Is there sidewalk under the gravel or is it just
Well,
gravel?
I don't
It's
know
not
now,
super
I'm-
safe to walk on.
Well, no, of course it's not, but. yeah.
Especially in the winter time, like to walk on slick gravel and I don't know, I guess it would be plowed, but.
So we can look at two things. We can get an aerial, and we can look at who owns what properties.
Yeah.
What does the state own, where do the
Perfect,
business owners own, and where you could put a sidewalk.
yeah. I like it.
I feel like it all makes sense to do that as a part of that project. I mean, it just connects that whole recreational area to the
Our fingers crossed to get the bids to come along.
downtown. And, I mean,
Yeah.
you've been on 7th Street. You've been on East 7th Street, isn't it? Driven on East 7th Street. You have a street. I don't know how this happened, obviously many years ago. We have a street that's a block and a half away from the elementary school with no sidewalks on either side. And so if you go out there in the morning, kids are walking to school in the street. And we just need, I feel like as a town, we need to start prioritizing our pedestrians, right? So if we can get some of that. into this
They're so
property.
walkable.
Your town and every town.
Yeah.
That's a big deal throughout right now. So try to get more sidewalks in there, and a lot of communities are prioritizing, like for instance, I do the Player also. They're putting $200,000 or $300,000 every year into just sidewalks where there's connections from one place to another, not big, huge side. They do that with their projects. But they're looking at where do they have a piece here and a piece here, and they can just do a connection. Try to get that.
This is helpful, but is that gonna be big enough for bikes? Or is it gonna be like bike lanes? I know we're not there yet, but.
The trail is 10 foot wide, which is big enough for bikes.
Yeah.
So that's really the intent of that trail.
We're not there, but it's super bike friendly.
Yeah.
We did do a plan a long time ago
Yeah.
that showed somehow getting from the one trail all the way over. But there's a, county road and that area right there is a tough area to get through.
Yeah.
Right there at where the trail terminates now. Yes. Because that would be the thing, if you could get to those newer neighborhoods in the north.
We would have to do an underground.
We looked at it, we have looked at it,
Bridge or
because
something.
there is some big culverts that go under there,
Yeah.
but nothing's cheap.
Well, if you go to Corville, on the Port Ridge Mall, there's a little trail that goes under the interstate.
Absolutely.
Even it's kind of hidden.
So the other thing is, there's a program out there that's like for school trails. But it's not always the most efficient program that the federal government has ever put out, because what happens is anytime you do that, say, you gotta say, here's your school, and wherever I'm going from to that school, everything has to be in ADA compliant. And that means if your street is sloped, not maybe ADA compliant, they expect you to fix your street. And so the little sidewalk project becomes a big project. People run, Davenport and others run away from that program because it makes them spend way too much money in areas they don't want to spend money.
Sure.
But with the infrastructure bill coming out, I'm hearing it over and over and over again. They're trying to figure out ways to get money into streets, into that type of thing. So we need to really keep our eyes open and see what's coming.
Yeah, that sounds great. As it pertains to this resolution tonight, where does that leave us if we want to see some changes to that?
My suggestion would be go ahead and bid it. And get the bids. We've got sidewalks in there already. We've got sidewalk as a line item, and we've got trail in it. If you wanted to add more sidewalk, if it's attached to it, we can add it, and 98% of the time, that contractor is more than happy to use whatever price he has and lock into it.
Because we do need to get those bids.
So I think that would be your most economical way to get it done. Try to get the contract bid, and then you'll have line items for sidewalk. And you'll have probably any line items you need.
And you'll know what your unit prices for everything. Contractors generally are willing to do more.
And on a big project, you tend to get way better bids. So if you go back out with just a sidewalk,
Sure.
Yeah,
your bids could double.
right. No, that's good.
And we found, let's just get this thing bid. If you want, I could add a little quantity, but I don't think you need to. We've got so much quantity in here now that we can just add to it. We can come back, it'll come back as a change, not a change order, because we won't need to add line. But it'd be an additional quantity.
And we built that in anyway.
We usually build quantity in there almost
In
always.
addition.
Because I don't like coming back to you and saying, okay, we're at 2 million now, guess what, now it's 2.5. So we're hoping that if everything works out.
Any other questions from council? Okay, this will be another roll call vote to approve this resolution. I'll start with Cara, Councilmember McFerren,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Schiltz,
Yes.
Councilmember Dominguez.
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez. The motion carries 5-0. Great, thank you. Item 7B, resolution number 2022-1115-34, approving the filing of tax increment financing indebtedness certification.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve this resolution. You want to walk us through that at all, or?
I would just, we put these all together, back to it.
Yeah, can you talk about the generalities of? These are just the tip payments.
She's certifying what this is you're gonna certify the TIF debt to the county auditor, so you'll be able to collect. And what she certified is, we've got two general obligation corporate purposes, 2017A, 2016A. You've got the amount requested from TIF to pay that. You've got phase 1, phase 2 of Geary LLC / Alta Ventures Development, Short Street. You can see the amounts there. We Lead Economic Development Agreement is in there. We certify every year. The West Liberty Urban Renewal Revitalization Program, that's the one downtown. We use the $25,000 grants. The city, I think this will be year 4, the city committed to 5, I believe. And then our administrative costs, other economic development costs that the city has certified in the past. That's how we came up with that total. So what this resolution does is that Lee's gonna certify that to the auditor, so those dollars can be collected for those purposes.
Thank you. Is this a roll call vote?
Yes, it's around.
Yeah,
It's around.
for your resolution, yep, it's a roll call. Yep.
All right. Start with you, Councilmember Dominguez,
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez.
Yes.
Councilmember McFerren,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Schiltz.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 7C, resolution number 2022-1115-35. A resolution obligating funds from the Urban Renewal Tax Revenue Fund for appropriation to the payment of annual appropriation tax increment finance obligations, which shall come due in the next succeeding fiscal year. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve this resolution.
What this does, other than the bond payments, what this resolution does is it obligates those dollars that you are certifying to the auditor for the tip payments to Geary, as well as to We Lead, money for the downtown revitalization program, as well as what goes in for other administrative and economic development costs. So it's gonna allocate those funds to those programs where bonds will show up in your budget.
Thank you. Any further discussion or questions? Councilmember Martinez.
Yes.
Councilmember Dominguez.
Yes.
Councilmember Farron.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Schiltz.
Yes.
The motion carries 5-0. Item 7D, resolution 2022-1115-36. This is approving the street finance report and authorizing the city clerk to file with the Iowa Department of Transportation. Can you give us an overview of that?
Again, Lee prepares this. The city has to show how
Hey, Dave.
the road use.
Hold on just a second. Can you do a motion
Oh,
and
sorry.
a second in order to have discussion?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, do that. Is there a motion?
Second.
With the motion and second, can you walk us through?
For the DOT, the city receives road use funds, and we have to show how those funds are spent every year in order to receive our funds for the next year. So this is just, it's something that you'll see every year. The city is going to file a report showing how those dollars were spent on various things that pertain to the street department and streets.
Great.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Can we provide also like our salt and stuff?
Um,
Well, I mean, is that what they fund us?
I mean, there's stuff in there for like operating supplies, which, salt could come out of there.
Our trucks were
purchase the some of it outside.
Road use tax covers quite a bit of our street
Yeah.
budget. There's a small portion that does come from the general fund, but the majority of it does come from the road use fund. So,
It does have snow.
and that's a per capita value. DOT kind of sends out what they think the allocation is going to be based on per capita.
Any further discussion? Councilmember Martinez, Councilmember Dominguez.
Yes.
Councilmember Schiltz,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember McFerren.
Yes.
The resolution passes 5-0. We'll move on to item 8, reports. Yeah, sure.
I guess first.
The only thing I would like to add is the well number 2 kickoff project, or the well number 2 rehabilitation project kickoff meeting is scheduled for next Tuesday, 11/22. We will have the HMG, that's the electrical engineer, the electrical department, city staff, and everybody at that meeting, and that's kind of a formal get everything rolling for that well.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Thank you. That's all I have.
And I guess rather than the city staff minutes, it really should be staff reports. And I know Craig Jurgens is here in person this evening for wastewater. And who's online?
We have Nick and Adam.
Nick and Adam are online. You've got their reports. So if there's anything that any of you three would, and Ally's report is there. If there's anything that any of you would like to share with council, please do so at this time.
I would let the council know that we're supposed to get this mixer in by the end of the month. Currently, we're only right on 1/2 of our carousel basements due to the solids buildup and the anoxic basin on the south end. So once we get that in, I think everything will actually get better at the plant.
Nick or Adam?
I just had a question for Nick. Nick, what company did you decide to go with for the camera system? And the security system?
I can't hear you.
He's wanting to know who the vendor is for our security system that you're working on for the cameras.
Tri-City Electric that installed the system for City Hall, the key fobs and all that stuff. So it'll tie back into everything that we already have.
That's what you got the bids for.
Yes,
previously.
yep, and that's what council had authorized use of some of the other funds. Do you have any questions for Ally or for Adam? Or Ally, if you want to share anything? Adam?
A lot of numbers.
Detailed report.
Your report is quite detailed.
Yeah.
It's our annual survey. So the state library requires us for us to remain an accredited library with the state. We have to submit an annual survey at the end of every October. So those are our annual survey statistics. That's not how my report will usually look.
I love it.
I did notice the dramatic increase in the number of
Yes.
ebooks,
Yeah.
which is
For
Nice.
fiscal year of ebooks.
of ebooks.
Yes,
specifically.
that is we receive those through a consortia with the state library. So because ebook pricing is absolutely ridiculous, and I do have a whole rant about that. We are part of a consortia with the state library, so we are able to go in with all the other libraries in the state that participate in that program. So that we can get much better pricing when it comes to our ebook selection. So the state library was able to get ARPA funds for the purchase of e-resources for the citizens of Iowa. And so that's where that increase comes from.
Yeah.
Alright, good job, Ally.
Any other comments, questions?
The only thing I would do is I would like to thank you all for, I know it's been a very long evening, but we have a lot of information to present this evening, especially in the work session. And we appreciate you taking your valuable time to come listen to all that. I know Virgil always does a really good job, and I appreciate everything that she does. And thanks to Leo for being there as well. So, staff there.
And I would like to say thank you to the mayor. He actually came in today for utility billing and stood with our employees to watch how much traffic actually comes in during bill pay day. So I just wanted to thank you. That's something that I think a lot of people should be able to see, and I was grateful to have you there today.
I was happy to see it, and I'm so impressed with the staff at City Hall. I mean, they're just rock stars, handling a lot of traffic coming through and a lot of different variety of requests. You know, you guys get it done, and so it's great to see. I want to encourage council and everybody to, I'm sorry.
A tour. Is that what you're gonna say?
Actually, yes, thank you for reminding me. The wastewater treatment plant is one of the most fascinating things you'll ever see, and I'm not even kidding, it's amazing. You will never believe how interesting bacteria is until you see it.
Very true.
So some of the council members haven't had a tour of the city facilities yet.
It's my fault that is.
So I'm encouraging,
I'm willing to anytime
Yeah,
somebody's
there's all
ready,
the time. I
just
just
let me
never
know.
know.
and I'll help arrange it.
Right, and so forth. That is, thank you for bringing that up. I also want to invite council and everybody to the holiday open house. And we're kind of doing a slightly different tradition this year with the lighting of the tree. So I would like to invite council to that if you want to be there.
What time is it?
5:45.
5:45.
5:45
On
on
Sunday.
Sunday afternoon. Yeah, I've been on Sunday. Yeah.
Jazz band plays at 3 and there's a million of them. 1 million jazz band.
I have invited the 3 FFA teams that participated in their national competition in Indianapolis to come as my guests to the tree lighting and the parliamentary procedure team, which I feel like has some tie-in with city council since we follow some of the parliamentary procedure. They'll be the one to light the tree. So should be fun.
Do they flip a switch or?
It's more of a.
Okay.
Or school.
Like National Lampoons.
Ask for a big, switch. We told them that was something we'll have to try to work on for next year. Big old plugs. Yeah, we need some dramatic, last
It
year.
doesn't work.
Last year, when they rededicated the statue out in front, I think, to light it, I think it was Lee that kind of ran over kind of behind and got things plugged in. It was time to light it up.
It wasn't me.
It was me.
Yes.
Totally unrelated, but one thing I would encourage council to not forget about is phase 2 of our building for City Hall and everything. I feel like that's kind of gotten shuffled to the back. I don't know where it is in the process or how it's going, but that very much could directly impact my department and how it runs. So I just don't want that to fall on the back burner or fall off. So thank you.
Absolutely. Anything else tonight we can talk about?
Dana, did you want to give a brief update?
Yes, thank you.
So we met the fire and EMS task force meeting again last night. We had a really preliminary draft of a charter of what a 28E agency would look like. And we're gonna have that forwarded to each of the members so we can provide some feedback, and then our next meeting is on November 28th. So what we hoped to do is to get a more final draft together that we can all agree on, and then provide that to the city council, to the rural trustees, and then to the volunteers. So sorry. We can get their feedback as well. And then that would be a moment to get that to each of our attorneys and things like that. So we're making good progress, and hope to keep trucking on. And the mayor also joined us. So yeah.
Great. If there aren't any other comments, thanks for your time, everybody. It has been a long evening, but we got a lot done too. So is there a motion for adjournment?
Motion. Second.
With a motion and a second for adjournment, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.